A very good morning to everyone. Today, the topic on which we will discuss is sources of recruitment. This topic is very easy. At the same time, this topic is a bit complex as well. Complex from the part of your viewpoint to see the topic. How you see into the topic decides the complexity of the topic. I would like to discuss this topic into details to make it much more easier and to give it a new aspect what you think about recruitment. Generally, when we talk about recruitment, what we have learned that recruitment is a process through which interested persons through which a specialized pool of applicants is built up. That is, in other words, if I say recruitment is a process through which prospective employees are found out and then they're stimulated to apply for a job in an organization. So when more and more persons apply for a job in an organization, from the organizational point of view, the scope for recruiting better persons is more. Uh, and if you see in the other portion, if you see from the other aspect as well, the job seekers too, for them also, which brings, as I can say, recruitment is a linkage activity which brings together employees and those who are actually giving jobs. So recruitment has different definitions given by different authors. See, recruitment, it demands serious attention from the management for talent to execute it. This is a very important thing. The recruitment strategy thus needs to be integrated with the overall business strategy of the organization. And students tend to make another mistake. Let me talk about it, then I will go to the next portion. That recruitment is sometimes very often confused with employment. Recruitment and employment are two different things. They're two different aspects. Recruitment is just one step in the process of employment. रिक्रूटमेंट होना ही मतलब एम्प्लॉयमेंट होना नहीं है. Similarly, recruitment and selection are also different thing. Okay, we will discuss about things later on, but this is the thing you have to understand. Recruitment or employment एक चीज नहीं है. They are different set of concepts. Today, let us start with sources of recruitment. The first thing uh, I will tell when I will talk about this source of recruitment is that the factors which is related to these sources of recruitment. Now, students, before an organization actively begins to recruit applicants, it should consider most likely the source of the type of the employee it needs. Now, some companies try to develop new sources. Now, while some companies doesn't want to take up new sources, they want to tackle with the existing sources only. These sources accordingly may be termed as internal or external. So if the company is getting applicants from new sources, it becomes external, and if it is from the inner sources only, from the existing sources only, then it's obviously internal. We'll discuss about these things in much more details, but let us take a very important thing on this. I've written it. The management has to consider several factors or variables uh, in deciding. uh, it is not declining, it will be deciding, sorry, that's an error over there, in deciding that to what extent it will depend on the internal and external sources. Okay. Number one, I've written attitude of the employees. Now, students, there is always an effect of the policy on the attitudes and the action of all employees. It is often cited as a major reason for a policy of promotion from within. Most employees are likely to feel more secure and to identify the long term interest in an organization when they can anticipate that that when they can anticipate that the first chance at job opportunities. But if you see on the other hand, students, general applications of the promotion from within the policy may encourage mediocre performance of the employees. You have to see the bad thing also, you have to see the good thing also. The next is specialization. In many organizations, what happens, the principal source of qualified workers may be from the present employees who have received specialized training. This training is very important for specialization. In new industries or endeavors, no other source may be satisfactory other than the internal sources. Then comes very important economic policy. The emphasis on the general economic policy on the participation by employees at all levels is a very important factor of recruitment. Now, what happens when new employees from outside the organization, they are very inexperienced in the firm and may not know enough about the services and the products uh, that is being offered by the organization, and that's why sometimes they participate to know things better. Okay. uh, if they come to know about the things better, they participate effectively. Sometimes it is not so. So economic policy is a very important point over here. And the next thing is organization policy. If I talk about the organization policy, there are the major things which I should talk on. First, if the management feels that it is providing training for these qualities which is required to do a job, it may prefer its own people. Okay. If, on the other hand, it feels that no such assurance, that fact may argue for the for this new people with they, if they feel that there is no need to give new people the different ideas, different trainings, then the source of recruitment will change. It totally depends on the organization. If the organization feels भाई मेरा एम्प्लॉयज को सिखाओ, ट्रेनिंग दिलवाओ, देकर इसको ही प्रमोट करो, ये एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का अगर मोटिव है, तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विल गो फॉर इंटरनल सोर्सेस. अगर कंपनी सोचेगा भाई ये एम्प्लॉय पे पैसा खर्च का क्या लाभ है, जब भी लगेगा मैं बाहर से मंगवा लूँगा, तब the organization will go for external sources. So it is the organization's viewpoint which will decide. और एक चीज़ है, ज़्यादातर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में सीनियरिटी को उतना ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंस नहीं देता है। उन लोग को पता है भाई ये लोग काम करेगा, कुछ साल बाद अगर बुड्ढा हो जाएगा या फिर अगर थोड़ा भी एफिशिएंसी घट जाएगा, अगर थोड़ा भी इसका एज हो जाएगा, इसको हटा देंगे, नया एम्प्लॉयी लेकर आएँगे। ठीक है? ये एक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू हो सकता है। तब वो लोग सीनियरिटी को इतना इम्पोर्टेंस नहीं देता है। और कुछ-कुछ ऑर्गेनाइज़ सीनियरिटी को बहुत इम्पोर्टेंस होता है। इन टीचिंग प्रोफेशन सीनियरिटी गेट्स अ वेरी much uh, ahead position. We know that if our degrees are more, if we are much more senior, if we are much more experienced, then we will get better salary, then we'll get better position. But in organizations, there are organizations like I'm giving you software, ITs, ITs, software industries, जहाँ पर लोगों को पता है कि भाई ये लोग 40 साल, 45 साल तक काम कर पाएगा, तो उनको उतना इम्पोर्टेंस मत दो। You go to IT इंडस्ट्रीज, कितना कितना सारा ज्यादातर लोग यंग है। So that is depends on the organizational policy, whether they want to go for place, whether they want to go for promotions. If they're going for the promotions, then the seniority will come into the role. Otherwise, they will go by just by recruitment as it does for the others. New recruitment, then comes for the external sources. So these are the factors which has to be taken into consideration when we talk about the sources of recruitment. Then the next very important point, internal sources. What do you mean by internal source of recruitment? Internal source is one of the important source of recruitment. Why? Because the employees are already working in the organization. They are already working in the organization and maybe more suitable for higher jobs than those who are recruited from outside. And the present employees may help the in the recruitment process as well for the new persons as well. Suppose I am working in the organization, this happens very much in the auditing sectors, in the IT sectors as well. Employee referrals, I'm coming to each and everything. Acha. When we talk about the internal sources, we have main four sources. One is present employees. The second source is employee referrals. The third source is former employees. And the fourth is previous applications. I'll come to each and every one. Let us start with present employees. अगर प्रेजेंट एम्प्लॉय की बात किया जाए तो दो चीज सबसे आगे सामने आता है हम लोग का दिमाग में, एक है प्रमोशन और एक है ट्रांसफर. What happens, promotion and transfers from among the present employees can be a very good source of recruitment. अब ट्रांसफर क्या होता है भाई? ट्रांसफर होता है जब मैं किसी को, ये प्रमोशन ट्रांसफर के बीच एक छोटा सा डिफरेंस है, मैं पहले समझाता हूँ उसके बाद मैं बोल रहा हूँ. ट्रांसफर का मतलब क्या है? ट्रांसफर इन्वॉल्व्स शिफ्टिंग ऑफ पर्सन फ्रॉम द प्रेजेंट जॉब टू अदर सिमिलर प्लेस. यहां पर रैंक और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी प्रेस्टीज चेंज नहीं होता है. ट्रांसफर मतलब, ट्रांसफर का मतलब, मैं यहाँ का अगर असिस्टेंट ऑडिट मैनेजर हूँ, मेरा जब ट्रांसफर होगा कोई और कोई ब्रांच में, तो मेरा रैंक असिस्टेंट ऑडिट मैनेजर ही रहेगा. ठीक है? अगर मैं अगर कोई मेरा यहाँ पर कोई प्रेस्टीज या फिर कोई मेरा पोस्ट में मेरे रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज में ज्यादातर चेंज नहीं आएगा. यहाँ पर my post, my responsibility, my rank, my everything will remain the same. Okay, and here the number of persons also do not increase with the transfer, but the vacant posts are temporarily filled up temporarily, or it's filled up. Now what is promotion? प्रमोशन का मतलब क्या है? प्रमोशन के मतलब है भाई किसी का किसी का शिफ्ट पोजीशन ही शिफ्ट नहीं करना. It is not shifting of a person. It is shifting of a person to a higher post, having higher responsibilities, having more salary, having higher prestige. Okay. ट्रांसफर में कोई हायर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं मिलता है, हायर सैलरी नहीं मिलता है. हो सकता है हायर सैलरी मिल सकता है, अगर सोचो अगर तुम कोलकाता से किसी को बॉम्बे भेज रहे हो, सैलरी ज्यादा देना पड़ेगा भाई. बट द थिंग इज दैट प्रेस्टीज रिमेन सेम. Here the prestige get the here the prestige is more, responsibility is more, salary is more, and the higher position falling vacant may only filled up by promotions. A promotion does not increase the number of persons in the organizations. A person going to higher position will vacate his own position. मैं अगर मैं असिस्टेंट सोचो, मैं आज असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर हूँ, कल मेरा एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर बन जाएगा, तो मैं ऊपर वाला पोर्शन में ले लूंगा. करेक्ट. मेरा प्रमोशन हो गया, मैं ऊपर वाला पोर्शन ले लूंगा, मेरा पोर्शन वेकेंट हो जाएगा. आई एम फिलिंग अप द टॉप मोस्ट लेवल, बट माई पोर्शन विल रिमेन वेकेंट ओनली. नाउ प्रमोशन का एक चीज बहुत अच्छा है. प्रमोशन मोटिवेट्स एम्प्लॉयज टू इम्प्रूव देयर परफॉर्मेंस. अगर लोगों को पता है कि भाई मैं अच्छा काम कर पाऊंगा, मेरा परफॉर्मेंस अच्छा रहेगा, तो मेरा पोजीशन अच्छा होगा, मेरा सैलरी अच्छा होगा, मुझे प्रमोशन मिलेगा. और जब भी प्रमोशन का बात आता है, दो चीज बहुत अच्छी तरह से यहाँ पर दो चीज यहाँ पर बहुत अच्छी तरह से सामने आ जाता है, जिसको आता है. पहला बात सीनियोरिटी, और दूसरी बात मेरिट. प्रमोशन किसके आधार पे होने चाहिए? It is debatable for a quite long time. It is debatable for a quite long time because there is a conflict between people having a two set of opinions that whether promotion should be based on seniority or whether promotion should be based on merit. There has been controversy for a very long time. Now, if you take promotion on the basis of seniority, पहला बात क्या होगा? It will create a feeling of discipline and respect for senior persons. दूसरा बात क्या होगा? सबको मालूम पड़ेगा भाई तुम अगर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में बहुत दिन से हो, तुम्हारा सीनियरिटी के आधार पे तुमको प्रमोशन मिल सकता है. तीसरी बात क्या है? सब एम्प्लॉयज को पता चलेगा कि भाई मेरा इस कंपनी में एक फ्यूचर प्रोस्पेक्ट है, अगर मैं बहुत दिन रहूंगा तो मेरा प्रमोशन का चांसेस है. उससे फोर्थ फोर्थ पॉइंट क्या हो सकता है? The system creates more peace in the organization because such promotion will be acceptable to all. कि भाई जो जितना दिन काम करेगा उसको ही प्रमोशन मिलेगा, ये क्वाइट एक्सेप्टेबल है. It is quite acceptable. The next point is that it's the most cheapest form of recruitment. It is the most cheapest form of recruitment. Next, the existing manpower can be also used to an optimum level by giving them training and preparing for them for higher post. So एक बंदा जो एक कंपनी में बहुत सालों से काम कर रहा है, उसको ट्रेनिंग करते करते उसका ऊपर वाला पोस्ट में हायर पोस्ट में जाने के लिए उसको पूरी तरीके से हम लोग प्रिपेयर कर दिए. तो यहाँ पर एग्जिस्टिंग मैन पावर जो है उसको ऑप्टिमम लेवल तक तुम ट्रेनिंग दे पाओगे, उसको नेक्स्ट पोस्ट के लिए तुम ट्रेन कर उसको नेक्स्ट पोस्ट के लिए तुम प्रिपेयर कर पाओगे. उसके बाद जो आता है ना, अगर सीनियरिटी को तुम बेसिस मान के प्रमोशन करोगे ना, पूरा सिस्टम में काम करना थोड़ा इजी बन जाता है. पूरा सिस्टम में काम करना थोड़ा सिंपल हो जाता है। पर इसमें डिसएडवांटेज भी है। डिसएडवांटेज को छोड़, मैं एडवांटेज ऑफ मेरिट के बाद में बात करता हूँ। What are the advantages based on merit based promotion? The first thing, it recognizes and rewards competence, knowledge, and the efficiency of the employees. भाई पता है, अगर मैं अच्छी एफिशिएंटली काम करूंगा, मेरा अगर नॉलेज है, मेरा कॉम्पिटेंस है, मैं अगर छोटा भी तो मुझको प्रमोशन मिलेगा, तो मैं काम करूंगा। और मुझको अगर ये पता रहेगा ना कि मैं अगर मेरा कॉम्पिटेंस दिखाऊं, मैं अपना नॉलेज दिखाऊं, मेरा अगर मेरा एफिशिएंसी दिखाऊं, तो मैं ऑब्वियसली आई विल परफॉर्म बेटर इन an organization, because employees will know that better performance will be awarded. Next, able and competent persons will only stay in the organization. ठीक है, अगर एबल हो, कॉम्पिटेंट हो भाई, तो भी तुम ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में टिका हुआ रहोगे, नहीं तो तुम जहां पर हो वहीं पर रह जाओगे। तुम अगर बुढ़ा भी बन गया, तुम वो एक ही पोजीशन में बैठे रहोगे। So that is the thing. Then the next thing is that uh, it is quite logical and scientific, because why it is logical and scientific form of promotion? Because you're working in that organization with the efficiency, your hard work is getting paid off, and your hard work is getting paid off. So it may not be possible to ignore either seniority or merit. There should be an effort which should be made to make combination of both. दोनों का कॉम्बिनेशन रहना ही बहुत उचित उचित रहता है यहाँ पर, कि भाई सीनियरिटी को भी थोड़ा तुम इंपॉर्टेंस दो, मेरिट को भी थोड़ा इंपॉर्टेंस दो। अगर दोनों को एक जगह पर लाओगे तो काम करना भी थोड़ा इजी हो जाता है। अब प्रमोशन के बात किए हम लोग, ठीक है, तो प्रमोशन का बात किए, उसके बाद जो हम लोग जिसके बारे में बात करेंगे, दैट इज एम्प्लॉय रेफरल्स। व्हाट इज एम्प्लॉय रेफरल्स? व्हाट इज एम्प्लॉय रेफरल? Employee can develop good prospect for their families and friends and acquaintances by giving them the advantage to apply for the job in the company they are working, by furnishing something called letter of recommendation or introduction and encouraging them to apply. Suppose I am working in my organization, tomorrow I can tell any one of my friend to work in my organization, and I'm just recommending them in for my organization, so I'm telling them to apply for the job. This source is known as a very good source, and this source is usually one of the most effective methods of recruitment, because many qualified people are reached at a very low cost. सोचो, कंपनी को कुछ ऐड भी नहीं देना पड़ा, कंपनी को अपना ढिंडोरा पीटना नहीं पड़ा, एम्प्लॉय लोग खुद लेकर आ रहा है प्रोस्पेक्टफुल एप्लीकेंट्स को। तो ये बात बहुत अच्छा हो जाता है। इन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन where large number of employees work, this approach is very what can be very effective. Okay, and this approach can provide quite a large pool of potential organizational members. And um, this thing should to be known that most employees from their own experience knows about the requirement of the job. तो उनको पता चलना चाहिए कि भाई कौन सा बंदा वो पोस्ट के लिए परफेक्ट रहेगा। Often, employees have friends and acquaintances who, if they meet the requirement, they can easily apply for the job. But a major limitation to this entire setup is that the referred individuals are likely to be similar in type of those who are already working in the organization. Okay, because this is obviously an informal way. तो सोचो जो लोग अगर मेरा कोई जान पहचान का नहीं है, अगर मेरा जान पहचान का कोई नहीं है जो टीसीएस में काम करेगा, तो मेरे लिए कोई रेफर करने का वाला कोई नहीं होगा. So here the thing is that that's a limitation. The next point is foreman employees. Now, what happens? Some retired employees, sometimes they are willing to come back on a part-time role or on a contractual basis uh, in the organization, or they can sometimes also recommend someone who can be interested in working in the organization. Sometimes people who have left the organization or company for some reason, uh, maybe financial, maybe attachment to to the company, they work in the organization on a part-time basis. And individuals who left for other organizations, uh, they might be also willing to come back at higher positions. Okay, so the advantage of this post is that the performance of these people are already known to you. Suppose I'm serving this organization for long, after my retirement also I want to stay back in the organization. So maybe I'm not a permanent employee, but I'm working as a part-time employee. But then also I'm working in the organization. But generally student मैं एक चीज बोल रहा हूँ generally, यहाँ पर कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल इफ पार्ट टाइम बेसिस में दिया जाता है, तो सैलरी जितना पहले था उतना नहीं मिलता है generally. Okay. The next thing is very important. That is that is previous applicants. Now, what happens in true sense? Previous applicants is not an internal source, but then also it is considered to be an internal source theoretically. That is, who have applied for the job previously. Okay, so it is why it is taken as the internal source. I'm telling you, because the information about that applicant is already within the organization. So the information about that applicant is already with that organization. So uh, the information of those employees are being collected from the mail, and they are being contacted again. This is very quick and inexpensive to fill unexpected vacancy. Suppose immediately someone leaves the organization. Suppose I have taken an interview. I have taken an interview. I have selected few people, and they have joined the organization. After a few days, I find that again there is a vacancy. Maybe some people have, few of them have left. So from that panel of interview, I'm calling up few people, those whose name were in the panel only. So that is called that is called previous sources of application, previous sources or previous applications. Let's take up the merits of internal source of recruitment. What are the merits of internal source of recruitment? The first and foremost thing is that the internal source of recruitment, they boost the morale of the employees. There, if I am assured that that if I work properly, if I give my best, I will be given higher position. Whenever vacancy will arise, it will obviously boost my morale. And that's why existing employees are given the preference in promotions, and outsiders employed only when suitable candidates are not available from the institution. But that must be a company policy. The company must have that policy. The next is that the management here is in a better position to evaluate the performance of the existing employees before giving them the higher positions. A person who is coming from outside in the organization may be taken just on the basis of interview, but you don't know. I can obviously pretend in an interview, I can act in an interview, but the organization may not know that after I join, I may be different from what I have pretended in the interview. So, the service records of the existing employees will be a very good guide to study the person who can be offered the higher post in an organization. The next thing is very important. Uh, that's why I'm telling the chance of proper selection is very high over here. Then the next thing is very important. Uh, Internal source of recruitment. This promotes loyalty among the employees. When I know that if I work properly, if I give my best, organization will offer me higher positions, then I will feel a part and parcel of the organization. I will think the company's interest is my interest. So it will generate or it will promote a loyalty and commitment amongst the employees, because there is job security as well, there is security of position as well. And if I talk about this in a better way, what I said few minutes back, that internal sources can be used to motivate employees. And since there is a scope for promotion and higher responsibility jobs, employee will always give their best efforts in the organization. So the efficiency will increase. And not only that, by giving new opportunities to the existing employees, the enterprise is will have some social responsibility towards its employees. Okay, sorry, the organization will have a better responsibility towards its employees. Okay, so it is a responsibility of every organization to satisfy its employees. And internal source of this recruitment have been proven that it brings, it ensures stability of employees, because the organization provides better opportunities to suitable employees. So that's why people tend to stay with the organization. And see the last point, time and expenditure for recruitment is reduced. It's very true. Internal recruitment is very economical. The cost incurred for selecting a person is saved, the cost and time both, because the internal candidates do not require any training, since they are well acquainted with various type of jobs. These are actually the merit of uh, this uh, internal recruitment. Let's talk about the demerits. Let's talk about the demerits. Now, the first and foremost one which comes into my mind is that internal source often leads to inbreeding. Okay, uh, and it discourages new blood from entering into the organization. New or fresh people, fresh merits doesn't come to organization if we go for internal source of recruitment. And there's a high chance There's a high chance that the internal I'm promoting everyone. Okay, I'm promoting everyone. My week, and one day it will come that I have promoted everyone. No one to promote anymore. There's no good talents to be get promoted. So it is may find so one may find difficult to find the requisite personnel from within the organization after a certain point of time. Because see, you cannot promote a learner directly, or you cannot promote someone who is just in the organization but is not that efficient. The next thing is that that's very true. All vacancies cannot be filled up in the organization. For few vacancies, you need fresh blood. And when we talk about from within the organization, you have to promote, then your choices are very limited. Your choices are very limited. You have to promote from them only. But the choices becomes wider. The choices becomes wider when you go for external source of recruitment. And one more thing I want to add to that is that since the learner does not know more than the trainer, in internal source of recruitment, no innovations what the name that can be made. Therefore, on jobs which require original thinking, new merits can bring new thoughts, new merits can bring new innovations in the organization. Suppose one person knows one type of work or one person knows to implement that type of work in his own style. Maybe there are some other styles which I have not seen. Okay. And here one thing is much more important, students over here. The likes and dislikes. That means there when it comes to promotion, when it comes to internal source of recruitment, the likes and dislikes of the management comes into the picture. That means there is a very important role played by favoritism and personal biasness. That is to be taken into consideration. The next topic, which is to be discussed today, is external source of recruitment. When I talk about external source of recruitment, you can see there are 15 external source of recruitment. There can be even more. I will talk about 15 external source of recruitment. So when I talk about the external source of recruitment, let me tell you first thing that every enterprise has to use external sources of recruitment to hire positions when existing employees are not suitable. Because just now I said that sometimes internal source of uh, recruitment suffers from a problem of limited choice. So in external source of recruitment, more persons, okay, are taken into consideration. More applicants are taken into consideration. Now there are several external sources of recruitment. Let us come to each and every point one by one. Let's take the number one, advertisement. Now advertisement, if you open up the newspapers, you can see a lot of advertisement for different sources, for different posts. Advertisement is the best method of recruitment for higher and experienced jobs, and also for the fresh jobs. The advertisements are basically or generally given in local newspapers, on in national press, or in professional journals as well. And the requirement of the job is totally given in the advertisement. And the prospective candidate evaluates themselves against the requirement of the job, and then they send their application. And over here, the best thing is that the management gets a wider range of candidates for selection. The choice to the management is huge. There's a flood of applications which the management gets. The next point is very important: employment exchanges. Employment exchanges are actually run by the government, but nowadays there are many private employment exchanges as well. And these employment exchanges are a good source of recruitment. Unemployed persons, what they do, they get themselves registered with these employment exchanges. And whenever there is a vacancy, the vacancies after they're notified with these exchanges, then you get a call or you get a chance, the or your data when it is with the employment exchange, the exchange can supply that data to any organization, and the organization can sort you out according to the job requirement. Okay, so the exchanges are a suitable source of recruitment for filling unskilled and semi-skilled or even skilled and posts in an organization. Here, the link between the job seeker and the job giver is just the employment exchange. The employment exchange works over here as a mediator who brings in the job giver and the job seeker. Then the next important thing is that the unsolicited applicants. What do you mean by unsolicited applicants? Now, there are persons who are in search of employment. They can contact employers through telephone or by posts, but that is by mails. Then they can go in person also to them. Generally, employers with good reputation gets a huge amount of unsolicited applicants. If you take for consideration, if I name one of them, PwC, KPMG, or even TCS, Cognizant, they get a huge amount of unsolicited applicants. And there's a personal department who maintains a record of these unsolicited applicants. And whenever there is a vacancy, okay, they check that who the they check that which applicants are can be sorry which applicants can fill up that job vacancy, and they are being called for the interview. So unsolicited applicants is a very good source of external source of recruitment. Then comes professional organizations. You will must have heard about nowadays Naukri.com. Then you have there are many like this external source of there are many professional organizations who are operating. Now this professional organization, what does they do? They maintain a complete biodata of the members, the registered members, and supply them to the companies. And these organizations also act as an exchange between the members and the recruiting firms. And they take fees from both. And they take fees from both. And the firms can seek clarification and clear doubts about the persons if they want to, because here the as this is very much private, and this is very much professional organizations, they maintain very strong contact. They maintain very strong contact in terms of recruiting organizations. Okay. uh, they help the organizations to recruit the best employee or to recruit the best applicant. uh, One thing to be noted over here, students, that the persons, the thing is to be noted that if the company feel that they need to clarify something, if the company feels that they need to know something in details about that prospectful employee, applicant, then they can obviously verify that or cross check that with the or with that these professional organizations, because for that they are paid fees. Okay. uh, Here the source of recruitment is very reliable, as it is coming through a professional organization. The next point is very important: data banks. Data bank is a very new concept. The recruiting firms can operate a data bank about a various person in different fields. Okay, so about different fields, they have different persons list. And they can collect information about then for collecting the information, and for collecting this information, they can take information from education institution, they can take information from employment exchanges, they can take information from professional organizations to create this data bank. Okay, and this data bank becomes a very important source and for recruitment, and the firms can easily get access to this source and for their own recruitment purpose. Then the next thing is similar organization. What is similar organization? The organization producing similar product or having the same line of business act as an important source of recruitment. Suppose uh, suppose I am working in company X. There is another company who is doing the same line of business, who is known as company Y. Suppose company Y has conducted an interview very soon. So there can be many applicants to company Y, which company Y has not selected. Or company Y can have many referrals as well. Company X can get information about from company Y about these candidates. Okay, and can get information or can get candidates or can get prospectful applicants in this way. The persons having same experience as required by the recruiting firms can be easily retrieved, can be easily achieved from the similar organizations. Sometimes I'm telling you, teachers have this kind of tendency. We teachers, sometimes if for my organization I require a maths teacher and I'm not getting it, I can ask from my similar organization, I can ask from another college that whether they know anyone who can teach maths. And if they know, I can get the contacts from them. That we teachers also do. In our teaching profession, this is very in. The next thing is that casual callers. Now, management may appoint persons who casually call on the call people for meetings and short for meetings and for filling of the vacancies on a short term demand. Okay, what happens? We when you will be actually graduated, when you will graduate or when you will be a master's, sometimes you will receive calls from different organizations for the vacancies which you can fill up. Your information is collected by these casual callers from in databank, and they these casual callers, they actually are paid to call you and to get you on board. The next very important thing is labor contractors. It is quite common to engage contractors for the supply of labor. When workers are required for very short term or temporarily, or if I need workers on a hiring basis without going into the full procedure of selection, what I can do, there are many contractors, there are many jobbers whom I can contact. These contractors maintain regular contact with the workers, with those who are actually seeking for job, and uh, just by paying a nominal fee, or just by paying a nominal service charge to these labor contracts, you can easily get laborers from the market, for which this is now followed in India, because nowadays corporates have a tendency not to take full-time laborers, but to take temporary laborers, or they want to take contractual laborers. So they contact, or they keep in touch with the labor contractors to get um, laborers throughout the year. Um that is this is much more applicable for the unskilled or semi-skilled laborers. Okay, and they get a total pool of laborers throughout the year through these labor contractors. Okay, uh, the next thing which we can talk about is trade unions. Generally, the unemployment and underemployment persons make a request to the trade union leaders for finding suitable jobs for them. And the union leaders, as they're aware of the various vacancies inside the organization, they sometimes recommend the management for this for some people which they know, or for the known people, if they can meet the job requirement. In some organization, trade unions are consulted before filling up the vacancies, and that's why India is a country which is known for trade unions. You can see in every organization there is a trade union. In s- in this kind of situation, the union leaders can give the names of the person which is available to them for recruitment. The next point is gate recruitment. What is gate recruitment? Now, unskilled workers may be recruited at the factory gate. In some industries, like jute, a very large number of workers, what they do, uh, they, sorry, in some organizations, like I'm giving you an example, like jute industries, okay, or like cement industries, large number of workers, they work as substitute workers. They work when the permanent worker is absent for a long time. They fill up the vacancies for a temporary time period. More efficiently, this temporary workers, they are being recruited against they're being recruited for a temporary time period, and they're recruited, and when they're recruited, the notice of the recruitment is put up on the board. So whenever there's a vacancy, the notice is kept on the board, and accordingly they're being recruited. So that is called gate recruitment. Such recruitment is a direct form of recruitment, and is very economical. where one worker who is absent gets replaced by the other, where the work will never be at halt. The next point is campus recruitment. Campus recruitment is very famous in India, where not only in India, outside as well, where where the recruiters recruit people from colleges, from universities, from research laboratories, from the IIMs, from the IITs, and the top list institutions. In fact, in some companies, recruiters are bound to recruit a large number of candidates uh, from every institution every year. Okay, and the campus recruitment is so much uh, important because through campus recruitment, uh, a lot of fresh talents can be brought into the picture of the organization. Majority of those are recruited. Okay, majority of those in an year is recruited by big companies are from this campus recruitment. If you talk about Hindustan Unilever, if you talk about the Hindustan Unilever Limited, if you talk about the Tata, if you talk about Larsen and Toubro, if you talk about KPMG, PwC, then Deloitte, EY, the maximum, the chunk of recruitment every year comes from this campus recruitment. Then the very next important thing is that uh, again, recruiting agencies. There are several private consultancy firms uh, like Pricewater Coopers, ABC Consultants. They perform recruiting function on behalf of their client companies by charging fees. These agencies are particularly suitable for recruitment of executives and specialists. They perform all the functions of recruitment and selection on the behalf of the client, um, and um, this reduces the burden of the client, and it's also cost effective from the point of view of the client as well. Okay, so they do the entire recruiting program, they do the entire recruiting procedure, and then they select the employees suited for the job for on behalf of the organizations. Then coming to the walk-ins. Nowadays, walking in is becoming a very popular method of recruitment. If you open up the Sunday newspapers, you can see full of new openings, which is written walk-in interviews. If I take an average, 6 out of 10 interviews are nowadays walk-in interviews, where the applicant just walk in the interview rooms with their resumes. However, the walk-in interviews uh, is a bit having some few limitations as well, because the interviewer doesn't have any clue about the person whom they are going to interview, and the number of candidates sometimes can be more, sometimes can be less. It's unknown to you because it's a walk-in interview. You can get a very big queue outside your organization, and you can get few also. Okay, nowadays many concepts have came in, students. You can get write-in interviews where the job seekers send a written inquiry, and that they have to fill up an application form, and they have to do respectively. Then there are talking interviews. There is now talking interviews also very popular nowadays, where the job aspirants are nowadays required to meet up the recruiter and on a date, and they talk about the recruitment in details. Then the next point is displaced persons. Implementation of a project in a particular area, uh, they result in displacement of several hundreds of inhabitants. Now, rehabilitation, these displaced persons is a social responsibility for the business. Now, this world, now the government and the World Bank has made a conditional for granting assistance from the different countries in case of this rehabilitations. However, the record of companies uh, in respect of this rehabilitation is very disappointing. But then also this rehabilitation of displaced persons uh, is coming into the picture of interviews, external source of recruitment these days. The next point is competitors. We have never thought, but yes, nowadays poaching is one of the important way of getting people on board. This is done by identifying the right people in the rival companies and offering them better terms. That is nothing but alluring them to join my company. There are obviously legal and ethical issues involved when you are poaching or when you are hunting applicants on employees from different organization to this organization. But today's managers are doing this actually um, filthy thing in organizational culture by bringing people from different organizations. But there's one problem if you think also that person who is working that organization is coming from that organization with informations that is helping to these new organizations. But actually the question comes about loyalty. Are they truly loyal? They're not. Then comes the merits and demerits of this external source of recruitment. When we talk about the merits, the first thing, the suitable person with skill and talent are obviously gets a first chance. And not only that, it brings new ideas, better techniques, improvement methods in the organization. And the selection will be without preconceived notions and reservations because I don't know the people. There can be no biasness. The cost of employees will be minimized because the candidates are selected and placed with a minimum pay scale. When I'm bringing someone new, I will not pay as high as when if I need to promote someone. It's obviously negotiable in that case. The entry of new persons with varied expansion and talent will help in the human resource mixture of an organization, because here the existing employees will broaden their personality when they know they can get a probable challenge from the outsiders. And as the last point is very true, it never dries up because whenever there is a need, you can get a huge number of, or you can get a huge number of options from outside the organizations as well. So it will never dry up. So the next point, or the next thing is that demerits. What are the demerits? The first demerit is students, it is very expensive and time consuming to recruit people from outside. because you have to do a detailed screening. You have to take up the entire process of recruitment. It is time consuming, and through this entire process, suppose you have to give an advertisement, you have to contact a professional authority or an agency. You have to form a data bank. It's expensive. Now the second thing is that when employees come from outside, they are unfamiliar with the organization, and their orientation and training is very necessary. Okay, so there is a time which is associated with this training, orientation, and everything. The next thing is that if higher level of jobs are filled from external source of recruitment, then there's a challenge of motivation and loyalty to the existing staffs, because I know if I work hard also, tomorrow someone better will come and replace me. So there is a point of loyalty and motivation when it comes to external recruitment. Today I'm keeping up to this. Thank you everyone. I hope you have liked my class. So I will surely meet you people one day. Thank you.